everyone, and welcome to another episode of Over the Curb podcast, a Formula One podcast for fans old and new by Formula One fans old and new. Talking to myself again, this is the Dutch GP edition. Dramatic race that has sparked some controversy and conspiracies. So, without any further ado, let's get into it. As the weekend approached, the Oscar Alpine McLaren triangle finally reached an end. And Oscar Piastri is going to be driving for McLaren, and Alpine is kind of broke now. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri will be a good lineup for McLaren, and it will be fascinating to see how Oscar does in the difficult to drive McLaren. Now that all this drama has really put up a lot of expectations on his capabilities. As the details of the contract between Oscar and McLaren came out, it became clearer that McLaren did go behind Daniel Ricciardo's back to get Oscar. As speculations about Daniel's future continue, Rick Nation can only hope that he does stay on the grid for next year. Although there is a video of him talking to Sergio Perez saying that a sabbatical may be an option. As for whether Daniel wants the sabbatical or he has been recommended that sabbatical should be an option, that remains unclear. We'll find out soon enough as to what the decision is going to be. At Alpine, Gasly is the one that Alpine wants. But this will only happen if Colton Herta can drive for Alpha Tauri. Let's have a 2 minute silence for all Red Bull Junior drivers who might be upset with this news, but cannot really say much to Helmut Marko. On to the qualifying then. Pretty normal qualifying, except there were two flare attacks and one pigeon encroachment on the track. More than the qualifying itself, I think these things were more interesting. And to the people who threw the flare on the track, why have you paid so much money to come and watch an F1 session where your actions cause this session to have delays? There are easier ways to not watch something, like use that money for something better. Come Sunday, lights out, away we go, of course. To no one's surprise, Max Verstappen was leading the race on a track that on paper is strong for Ferrari. It was looking up to be a pretty boring race until it became very evident that Mercedes was on a one stop strategy and Lewis Hamilton was on a charge to fight for the win. But two safety cars and a bad strategy call later, Max Verstappen was the one who stood on the top step of the podium. Ferrari, as usual, refusing to change their ways, forgot to bring all the four tires for Carlos Sainz. Now, I have seen pit stops where there have been no tires. It is not something that is unprecedented. Daniel Ricciardo in Monaco in 2016, or even Lando Norris this year in Canada. Like, sometimes shit happens. But, like, how do you only have three tires? Like, it is not optional to use all four tires, it is necessary. So, I don't know what Ferrari was doing there. And I mean, as always, what happens with Carlos Sainz, it was an unsafe release and he got another penalty for it. Yuki Tsunoda, of course, had a very weird DNF. And this is the thing that has triggered a lot of tinfoil hat conspiracy theories. So, what happened was that Yuki says to his engineer that the wheel is not properly attached and he stops. The engineer says it is and that he should continue driving. Then he comes to the pits. They tighten his seat belts, put on new tires, and then he goes out again. And then he again stops because the problem is still there. This causes a VSC and Max Verstappen pits for new hard tires and Mercedes drivers go on the mediums. Now, of course, the theory is that Red Bull did this and it should be investigated. To be very honest, Red Bull does not need to do this shady shit now. They are leading both the championships. That is too much of a risk for a championship that is already in the bag for them. I think the solution for this is far simpler. Just ask the engineers to trust the drivers when they say something is wrong, even if it does not say so on the data. Like, the drivers are the ones driving the car. Remember in Miami when Checo said the same thing to his team, and they said that he was getting a tow, and the absence of the tow caused him to lose 3 fucking seconds of his time? Just make sure that the engineers are not gaslighting the drivers, right? Like, it's as simple as that. A couple of laps later, of course, Valtteri Bottas stopped just before turn 1 due to an engine failure. And I don't know what the FIA was doing, because that was the slowest call for a safety car that has ever happened. Like, it took them so long to give out a safety car. What race were they watching? It was it was so painfully obvious that it should be a safety car, like a full safety car. But it wasn't obvious as to why that decision took so long. Also, Alfa Romeo DNF is becoming as inevitable as a Max victory or a Ferrari fuck up on a race weekend. Like, every single weekend, it's either one of their drivers, and the car will just poof and DNF for some reason or the other. Of course, during the safety car, a lot of drivers pitted, and everybody goes on soft except for Lewis for some reason. Now, whatever led to that happening, that was not the strategy that Mercedes should have gone for. They should have had both their drivers on the same compound. So, if George requested softs, they should have changed Lewis's tires too. So, like, as the entire team LH was having the worst deja vu of their life upon the restart, to no one's surprise, Lewis Hamilton lost his lead and ended up finishing fourth. Unfortunate, but let's hope that Mercedes learns their lesson from this, and we see better calls from them during such circumstances. That was pretty much it. So overall, it was a much better race than Spa. It gave us some good strategies and some really stupid conspiracy theories. Coming to predictions, Kramer predicted Max Perez Carlos fastest lap to Max, so 3 points. One Williams DNF. Alonso beats Ocon and Albon beats Latifi. So two more points, and that is a total of 5 points. Shakuni predicted Charles Max Hamilton fastest lap to Max. Alonso in points, Ricardo in points, Vettel in points. So he gets a total of 2 points. Anibaja predicted Max, Charles, and Russell fastest lap to Max. So 3 points there. Both Alpine top ten race finish. At least one Aston in Q2, and Bottas finishes above Mick in the race. So a total of 5 points. I predicted Charles, Max, Perez fastest lap to Max. At least two DNFs. Ocon beats Alonso, and at least one Aston Martin in points. So I get 3 points. Now we look forward to the third race of this triple header, Monza, Ferrari's home race, and a lot to look forward to. Yellow Ferrari and Nick DeVry in the Green Bull, to say the least. We have usually seen a surprise winner in Monza. Like, we've usually had surprise winners in Monza. Like, 2019 was Charles, 2020 was Pierre, 2021 was Daniel. Let's hope that this time we get a new surprise winner too. Anyways, that was all for this episode. If you liked the episode, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. We are now available on YouTube, Amazon, Apple, and Spotify. Please subscribe, leave a rating, leave comments, and tell us what you like or don't like about the podcast. If you have any feedback for us, or if you want us to cover anything, or if you would like to be part of the podcast, please write to us at overthecurbpodcast@gmail.com. You can also reach out to us on our Instagram at overthecurbpodcast, or on our Twitter at overthecurbpod. We also do Formula One watch alongs on Twitch. In case you are interested in watching the race with us, find us at Kicks and Curves on Twitch and follow us there. Until next race weekend, then, goodbye.